So welcome everyone. My name is Dominic Frongillo. I'm Deputy Town Supervisor and Council Member in the town of Caroline in upstate New York. And we're here representing elected officials to protect New York. We're a growing coalition. It started in June with over 250 local elected officials, town council members, village trustees, mayors, county legislators from across the state, calling on the governor to continue the moratorium on fracking until fracking is proven safe for all New Yorkers. There's a growing movement of elected officials that represent constituencies across the state that are growing increasingly concerned about how fracking will impact our municipalities. And that movement has grown to now over 525 elected officials from virtually every county in the state. We're geographically diverse, nonpartisan. We have Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, Green, working family parties. We represent every county in this state. And we are calling on the governor to have a comprehensive health impact assessment, comprehensive cumulative impact assessment, and assessment of the negative socioeconomic costs of hydraulic fracturing in New York State. Today we will be highlighting what few people are talking about, which is what are the costs to fracking going to be economically and on our societies to our communities. So that's what we'll be talking about today. First, I'm going to introduce Julie Huntsman, Otsego County Legislature.
A preliminary report combing human databases, has found that babies born near drilling operations tend to have lower birth weights and reduced APGAR scores. I hope that's going to get some attention. Are we paying attention? So what's our state to do? I certainly hope we're beyond the stance of a rush to drill or being a Me Too state. And I hope we don't believe the gas industry ads. Of course not, because we're smarter than that. And we're lucky. Pennsylvania and Texas, with long histories of an extraction culture, really didn't know what hit them with this shale gas boom. But we have the benefit of foresight. We don't have to have the rueful regrets of hindsight. It would be a tremendous service to the citizens of our state and our nation to thoroughly examine the health, environmental, and economic impacts of the gas drilling industry. These three areas are all linked. This would inform a judgment based on science and public input. Our state leaders have the chance to really make a profound difference for all of us, promoting a healthy environment and economy, and lead the way to a sustainable energy future. Thank you. And our next speaker is Jane Russell, Supervisor of the town of Pulteney.
On October 24th, 2012, Governor Cuomo announced a new tourism campaign for New York's over 450 wineries, breweries, and distilleries. These businesses right now contribute over $22 billion to New York State's total economic picture. Why would anyone want to disrupt an industry like this in New York State? If the gas industry is allowed to begin even selected drilling in the southern tier, including in my county of Steuben, the tourists will not choose to fight for space on roadways. They will not be coming to gaze at pipelines or well pads. They will not be coming to inhale contaminated air. There will also be the threat of water contamination in the production of the craft beers, the wines, and the distilled spirits. Our product would no longer have any credibility on the world market.
I'm Carl Chipman. I'm supervisor of the town of Rochester. We're a small rural town of about 7,300 residents located in Ulster County. A lot of people think that in the towns and in the area of Hudson Valley is immune from fracking. We're not. We're on the edge of the Marcellus Shelf, and we have plenty of Utica shale underneath, and only a very, very tiny portion of my town is in the New York City watershed, which is supposed to be protected. So we're not immune from fracking. The hauling of hazardous materials associated with hydraulic fracturing also creates additional concerns with spills and materials handling in the event of a motor vehicle accident. Where will the tools for safe handling of dangerous materials and the expertise to use those tools come from. The environmental impacts of the heavy traffic associated with each well must also be addressed. Air and noise pollution are obvious concerns. Thousands of trips of heavy vehicles powered by diesel engines will create thousands of pounds of dirty emissions over the course of the lifetime of each and every well. What will be the long-term health effects of vehicle emissions, dust, and noise on those who live along roads traversed by vehicles associated with each well? How many people want to live with these conditions? What will be the effect on property values? What will happen to the tourism industry we've worked so hard to foster? These are just a few of the considerations concerning traffic and roads that we must take into account before even entertaining permitting fracking for natural gas in New York State. Thank you. I'd like to introduce you to Matt Ryan, Mayor of Binghampton.
Is the fact that the DEC has said that the reason we didn't need to go through a whole new environmental impact statement that we put forth in the early 90s was that we had such a good track record in New York State of paying attention to the conventional oil and gas drilling that we didn't have to rewrite the book. The reality is now, through a whistleblower who came forth and now looking at reports of their own DEC, that they admitted in those reports and that there's over 5,000 uncapped wells from conventional oil and gas drilling in New York State. I don't know how many of you heard the report on NPR this morning, but there was a very troubling report about those exact kinds of unplugged wells and what's happening down in Pennsylvania as a result of those. There's so many concerns that we're bringing to the governor and Commissioner Martens and Dr. Shaw that we need them to really listen, and that's why we continue to come back to Albany to bring our message that there's so many concerns about this industry. We are not even close to being ready to go forward. We've seen other states be guinea pigs. We see all the gaps in data, especially concerning medical impacts. They're just starting to study this stuff. We don't want to be any kind of guinea pig for the rest of the country for this industry. We've learned so far, we've fought off this industry and every day brings new revelations that really show us that we are not even close to being ready for this. If the DEC cannot regulate all of the conventional oil and gas drilling in this state from over those 5,000 uncapped wells, then we can't go forward. I mean, that means so many pathways to destruction of our water. That's one of the things, the report on NPR. It's all about pressure. It's all about how the wells are drilled. And all these unpressurized, uncapped wells, those are pathways to our water supplies, which we know are so near and dear to us in New York State. A reporter told me not long ago that back when Mario Cuomo was governor, and he was asked a question about, are you concerned that a lot of people are leaving this area to go to the southeast and the southwest for warmer climates and things like that? And he goes, I'm not really that concerned, because he goes, the biggest strength New York State has is its water. And he said they'll come back because we have the best water in the world, and it's going to be. He knew had the foresight to know it was going to be an issue all over this country and all over this world. Well, we can't take a chance at destroying that most precious resource because it's so instrumental to so many of our industries that are already existing, our billions of dollars of industries that are already existing in the state. So thanks to all of our elected officials who continue to fight this industry to make sure that if it ever happens in New York State, we're ready for it. But I, quite frankly, don't think we'll ever be ready for this industry, and we should go a different direction. And that would obviously be what a lot of the rest of the world is doing, focusing on renewable energy, a clean energy future. And that's what will produce the high-tech jobs that are bypassing us in other countries right now. All over the world, as they embrace it, understand that they need it, understand that that's the only way our planet will survive. Maybe obviously our hearts go out to the events that happened with the hurricane But we've really seen in New York State in the last few years, and I've been mayor for 3 historic floods now that were only supposed to happen once in 500 years. And now we see how it's affecting the coastlines. And, it's time to make the right decisions, and we implore our government and our governor to do the right thing. Next, I'd like to introduce Elmira Mayor Sue Skidmore, who lives even very close to a lot of activity that's going on, and she has some interesting evidence about whether or not this industry is really producing the jobs and the economic development money that it's claimed to. Thank you.
I'm here to speak on the economic boom and bust of the natural gas industry effects on Southern Tier. Elmira is 5 miles from the Pennsylvania border. What happens when the drilling stops? We've been promised 10 or 15 years of drilling, and it's not even been 3. They vacated the northern tier of Pennsylvania. So all these businesses that opened, hired people, they now have no traffic. So now they're laying off. So the reverse has actually happened. So what happened to all that tax revenue? It was promised. We saw a boon in 2009. This year, we're $1 million down. Why? Because one day they decided that they weren't getting enough money for their gas, so they closed up shop. And it's interesting about uncapped wells. People think that cities, especially urban upstate cities, are not going to be affected, but we are affected. The city of Elmira has 8 wells within it. Those are the old wells. Are they capped? I'm not sure, but one of them's right on the hospital property. So could they possibly reopen it? Sure they could. Why not? Will they reopen it? Have no idea. And as far as roads and traffic goes, we don't have a lot of state roads. We do have one major one that'll come in off the highway. We have county roads. Those roads are so overused right now, you can hardly get down our main roads. They're going in, they're coming in off the highway, they're coming through our city, they're going down to the rail yards. Whatever their waste is getting shipped out. We're looking at the water. We know the Susquehanna, they couldn't pull the water out of Susquehanna because of the drought. How long has the drought been going on? So we're going to keep continuously pumping all this water out. So it's not just the contamination, it's the use and the amount of water that they need. If it's going to come, it has to be safe. It has to have quality of air, water. Our infrastructure has to remain intact. We have to protect the people. We have to have places for them to live, and we have to make our neighborhoods safe. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Martha Robertson. She's Tompkins County Legislature. Thank you.
We all have constituents. We represent the people of the state of New York. We see them in the grocery store. We see them in the gas station. We see them at the school board meeting. We see them, every day. They have questions. They are worried about this industry. And we call on the governor, we call on the DEC, we call on the Department of Health to take the time to fully answer those questions, explain your research to the people. There is no rush. The gas isn't going anywhere. By the way, at last I looked, it was $3.50. It's not even going to make anybody any money at this price. So the changes this industry would bring are irreversible. There is plenty of time to do this the right way. Once drilling starts, the mistakes will have been made. So with that, I will turn it back to Dominic.
I'm 29 years old. I care about what happens in my future because I'm going to live through it. So I've started building a vision for energy independence in my community. We're the second municipality in the state to buy 100% wind power. We're leading the way. I was on the New York State Climate Action Plan panel. I've traveled around the world to the UN climate negotiations, and I see that right here in New York, we have the opportunity to lead our state forward, to be a leader in our clean energy future. And we need the governor to be the leader that we're seeking. We need him to pursue leadership on this. If we just, instead of focusing on fracking, were to focus on upgrading homes for energy efficiency so we wouldn't need natural gas, just in the southern tier alone, if we were to do homes and businesses upgrading for energy efficiency, we would leverage $1.2 billion in private capital. We would create 150 new businesses and create 4,000 jobs that would create energy savings of $150 million a year, no longer leaving the state or the country, but right in our pockets of our families that are working hard every single year. So that's the kind of future that we seek. We need Governor Cuomo to help us lead our state forward to this positive, clean energy future and leave the dirty fossil fuel economy in the ground where it's supposed to stay. So thank you very much for coming to our press conference.